So, why is Battlefield 6 struggling? Well, there was a massive launch, then a huge player drop. So when Battlefield 6 launched, it looked like a huge success. It reportedly sold millions of copies within the first weeks. Player numbers skyrocketed at launch due to the hype around the new Battlefield experience, but the problem came after the first few months. Many multiplayer games depend on long-term player retention, not just launch numbers, and Battlefield 6 saw a massive drop in concurrent players shortly after the release. Why? Well, because once the excitement faded, many players started noticing core issues with the game's design and support. For live service shooter, losing players quickly is one of the biggest warning signs. So Battlefield 6 didn't really fail, but the real problem started after the players spent time within the game. One of the biggest complaints from the community is slow content pipeline. Battlefield 6 games traditionally keep players engaged with new maps, weapons, vehicles and game modes. Many players say Battlefield 6 releases new maps far too slowly. Older titles like Battlefield 4 eventually had 30 plus maps through the expansions. Modern live service games are expected to constantly refresh the experience. Instead, Battlefield 6 often adds only a couple of maps per season, which many fans say isn't enough to keep the game feeling fresh. And when players feel like they've seen everything already, they move on. Technical issues are another major factor. Battlefield games have always had chaotic physics and destruction, which is part of the fun. But Battlefield 6 has had several gameplay affecting bugs. Examples that players complained about include weapons not working properly, lock-on missiles ignoring countermeasures, hit registration problems, and server instability. In a competitive multiplayer shooter, hit detection and stability are everything. It feels like players' shots aren't registering, enemies teleport, and weapons feel inconsistent. It damages trust in the gameplay, and once a player loses confidence in the shooter's mechanics, they often stop playing entirely. Modern shooters rely heavily on a battle pass and cosmetics, but many players feel Battlefield 6 went too far. Criticism includes the battle pass being pushy and heavily on the menus, expensive cosmetic bundles, content sometimes feeling designed around monetization rather than gameplay. Players are generally fine with cosmetics as long as the core game gets attention first. But when players feel like the developer focuses more on selling skins than fixing bugs, frustration grows, and it grows quickly. This has happened in several live service games across the industry, look at Black Ops for example. Gameplay balance and design issues. Some complaints are about the fundamental gameplay design. Players have criticized things like the TTK. Enemies sometimes die extremely fast, which reduces the opportunity for tactical fights. In classic Battlefield games, fights often involved positioning, squad teamwork, and vehicle support. If the time to kill is too fast, fights can feel more like instant raids rather than strategic battles. Weapon progression grind. Another issue is progression. Unlocking attachments can require hundreds of kills of the weapon, which many players feel is unnecessarily grindy. For casual players, this can feel very discouraging. The competition is stronger than ever. The FPS market today is far more competitive than earlier Battlefield games launched. Major shooters constantly compete for the same players, including Call of Duty, Apex, and Counter-Strike. All of these games receive constant updates, have huge esports scenes, and maintain massive player bases. So if Battlefield 6 feels stale or buggy, players can easily switch to another shooter. In modern gaming, players rarely stick around if a game isn't evolving fast enough. Another issue is the complex development structure. Multiple studios inside Electronic Arts and DICE worked on the game. While this can increase production scale, it can also create problems like slower coordination, inconsistent updates, and development delays. There have also been reports of layoffs and internal restructuring, which can slow future content and updates. So, is Battlefield 6 actually failing? Battlefield 6 is not a financial failure. It's reportedly had the biggest launch in the franchise and has sold millions of copies, but the real concern is player retention and long-term engagement. So the real story isn't Battlefield 6 failed, it's more like Battlefield 6 had a massive potential, but issues with content, bugs, and competition caused many players to leave. Battlefield 6 has the foundation of a great game. large-scale battles, destruction, and chaotic warfare. But unless the developers can fix the content and the technical issues, the game risks losing even more players in the long run. How can DICE make Battlefield 6 a better game for everyone? Well, they could release 3 or 4 maps per season instead of 1 or 2. They could add remastered maps from older Battlefield games. They could introduce dynamic events like storms and collapsing buildings, etc., which we've had in previous Battlefield games. They need to fix the hit registration issues, the server lag or desync, weapon bugs, and broken gadgets. Even small technical issues can make the game feel unfair. A strong improvement strategy would be dedicated updates focused only on performance and stability, public bug tracking transparency, because games that openly communicate fixes tend to rebuild trust with players. They can improve the progression system. Many players feel the weapon unlock system takes too long, so in modern shooters, progression needs to feel rewarding but not grindy. A good way to improve this would be to reduce the number of kills needed to unlock attachments, add daily challenges for faster progression, offer multiple ways to unlock gear, so objectives, teamwork, etc. Players should feel like they are constantly progressive even during short play sessions. They could focus more on team play. The Battlefield franchise became popular because of the large-scale teamwork. Classic Battlefield moments include medics reviving teammates, engineers repairing tanks, squads pushing objectives together. Some players feel the newer system reduced the teamwork feeling. The game could improve by rewarding squad play more heavily, adding team-focused bonuses, improving squad communication systems. This would bring the gameplay closer to classic Battlefield identity. Better communication from the developers. One thing that keeps players invested in live service games is developer transparency. For example, studios that regularly share roadmaps, development updates, and community feedback tend to maintain a stronger player base. Since the game is developed by DICE and published by EA, players expect clear long-term support plans. Regular developer updates can rebuild the trust. They could also bring back huge maps, better vehicle warfare, destruction physics, and large team battles. If the developer doubles down on these features, instead of chasing trends, the game could regain its identity. Battlefield 6 isn't beyond saving. The foundation is still there, but if the developers want players to come back, they'll need faster content updates, better communication, and stronger focus on what made Battlefield legendary in the first place. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, we're on our way to 250 subscribers, and we are so close, and it would mean the world to me if we could get there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.